Alright, guys. It's time that we actually have a talk because apparently this is in the news again. We've had Fauci and his testimony. We've had talk of variants. We've had a host of other things come to the fore that brought this back into the public discussion. And I need to really go back to basics because I need to bring something back to our remembrance before it gets fucking memory hold, before it gets lost in translation. And this has nothing to do with who did what or who's right, who's wrong. This is just going to be a discussion about facts, about reality, about the way in which we interact and the way we would discuss what is known as a coronavirus today versus how we talked about them before. And as I am showing here, the coronaviruses are not new. They're not new. They are not something, they're not some mutant bug boogeyman that, just magically showed up at 2019. We have experienced coronaviruses before. They have existed in nature for as long as we can remember. And for as long as we can recall, coronaviruses typically induce the common cold. Now, just for reference, just so we are all on the same page as human beings and as a society, one of the biggest long-standing jokes between me, my father, my friends, and other erudites who would, have these lofty goals and formulas and plans and aspirations, we would generally use the phrase to cure the common cold as the height of idealistic foolishness. We knew intrinsically, after our basic modern understanding of how vaccines and these coronaviruses work, that curing the common cold is an impossibility. And the reason is because coronaviruses, as a rule, mutate. The mutation rate of the common cold is too fast for science to produce an effective cure. Let me say that again. The mutation rate of coronaviruses is too fast for even modern science to cure. The way that we make vaccines is insufficient to eradicate things like coronaviruses, the common cold. This needs to be remembered. This is something that you need to have instilled in your brain so that when you are shown something like, the COVID-19 vaccine, they are trying to sell you a vaccine that cures the common cold. And let's backtrack a little bit. Why, if it's the common cold, was this such a big thing? Because you have to understand, they took the common cold from another animal, made it so that it could enter the human body and be effective and damaging, and weaponized it. That is the horrifying truth about what the COVID-19 virus is. What they could not change about COVID-19 is the fact that it's still a coronavirus. It still has built-in, standard, default of its existence, the fact that it mutates beyond the rate in which we are capable of vaccinating it. Your flu vaccine, the influenza, you know for a fact only lasts 1 year. And yet, people will still pay to go to their pharmacy to get a yearly vaccine from influenza. Now, why didn't we do that for the common cold? Because it mutates faster than the fucking flu. That's why we don't bother with it. But just so you understand the horror and the scope of what COVID-19 is or claims to be, the common cold has been weaponized. And it's still going to be a common cold. It's still going to mutate at the rate of a normal coronavirus. Get that through your thick skull. That's why we had lockdowns. That's why we did 2 weeks. That's why we did all this other jazz. And I know we're all laughing at it now because, dark humor is still funny, even though not everyone gets it. But the fact remains that these asshats who are going to try and push the vaccine or vaccine passports, it's bullshit. Oh, and my favorite thing, my favorite thing, we have a new scary Delta variant. Well, no fucking shit. Any scientist who knows anything about viruses and virology is going to have told you that COVID-19 was going to have variants. That is a fact of life at this point. And all I want to do is reach out to those who are within the sound of my voice and just tell you, look, they weaponized the common cold. And it's going to mutate. There are going to be variant strains. There are going to be pushes for vaccines from now till kingdom come. And ultimately, the fact of the matter is, the harsh, true reality of it all is simply this. Nothing is going to save humanity from the 0.0001% death rate of COVID-19 other than simple raw adaptation. Human beings are going to have to naturally adapt to COVID-19 the same way that we adapted to the common cold. That's it. That's all that there is. That's all you have to do. For COVID-19, the only preparation you need is whatever you did for a common cold. Now, yes, there were some horrific effects for some people in regards to COVID-19. The same shit that happens with the common cold, you dimwits. And literally to the exact same demographics. I'm not kidding. I am that is not a joke. That is not an exaggeration. They want to say, "Oh, 500,000 people have died from this." Yes. The flu did the same thing. The common cold has done the same thing to old people and the vulnerable since time immemorial. Knock it off. You don't need a vaccine. You need an education in what the COVID. You need to simply remember what a coronavirus is. And when they say coronavirus, your brain should go back and say, oh, it's the common cold. Can we cure the common cold yet? The answer is still no. The answer is still no. You cannot cure the common cold. Because that's exactly what a coronavirus is. Now, I understand that COVID-19 is not your typical common cold. That reality is not lost on me. I know that it was made nasty and had nasty shit. Here's the good news. It is highly likely, it is extremely likely, that COVID-19 was a nasty and devastating weaponized virus. No doubt. However, it was also a coronavirus, which might be puzzling to you, like, well, Carnal, why the fuck is being a coronavirus which mutates past our technological abilities a good thing? Well, it's not just our technological abilities that the coronavirus can adapt beyond. You have to understand, viruses are living organisms who want to multiply and survive. Viruses that kill their hosts don't survive. The coronavirus being a coronavirus has no real incentive to kill you. There is a high probability that because that despite the coronavirus being weaponized and being able to mutate, there is a high probability that the coronavirus almost immediately upon release, and I'm talking like from the time that it got released in Wuhan to 6 months after the date, that the virus, being a coronavirus and kind of doing this thing, mutated back into a less harmful strain. That has probably already occurred. Your friends and family who are getting infected now or a month ago were not and are not getting infected with the same shit that was released in China, I guarantee you. Take solace in that fact. Revel in it. You know, there is no need for you to get cured or vaccinated from the common cold. You, as a decent and reasonable human being, knows that that is not reasonable. It's not possible. It is not within the scope and power of mankind to do yet. So, since all of this has come out again, I just decided to dig back into our recent past, pull up this WebMD website, this official source, just to show you that the coronavirus is a family of viruses that are known for causing the common cold, which we are incapable of curing, which have a high rate of mutation. A rate of mutation that is so high we can't vaccinate for it. It's faster than influenza. Don't be tricked into getting a vaccine for the fucking common cold. It's a joke. I cannot stress this enough. The idea of finding a cure for the common cold is a joke. And if your friends get vaccinated, laugh at them. They need it, and so do you. As always, everyone, stay carnal, and God bless.